I crossed the line between life and death. For a few minutes, I was no longer here. What you're about to hear is real, and I would never have believed it if I hadn't lived it. In that accident, I left my body and had the most incredible and most tragic experience of my life. And everything changed after that night. This story begins now. That night began like so many others. I was driving home on a long, quiet road, the kind of road where the darkness feels endless and your thoughts drift freely. My wife sat beside me in the passenger seat. At some point, she reached for my hand and rested hers gently over mine. It was a simple gesture, but it carried everything: comfort, trust, love. In the back seat were our children. Our 7-year-old son was awake, staring out the window, humming softly to himself. Our newborn baby boy was asleep in his car seat, wrapped tightly, peaceful and unaware of the world around him. I remember how unnaturally quiet everything felt.
Yes, too quiet. I was tired. Not exhausted, not enough to pull over or panic. Just tired enough to believe I was still in control. I had driven this road many times before. I knew every curve, every stretch of asphalt swallowed by the night. I didn't know it then, but that confidence would disappear in less than a second. And then my eyes closed. There was no warning, no drifting, no sense of losing control. Just darkness.
The impact came violently. The sound of metal twisting filled the air as the car lost control. The world spun so fast my mind couldn't catch up. Glass shattered. The vehicle rolled over itself again and again, each rotation slamming my body against the restraints, until suddenly, everything stopped. Silence. An unnatural, heavy silence. And somehow, I was still conscious. My ears were ringing so loudly it felt like the world was underwater. The smell of gasoline burned my nose. The car was upside down, and gravity pressed my body awkwardly against the seatbelt. I tried to move. Pain exploded through my legs. Immediate, unbearable, final. Both of my legs were broken. I couldn't tell where one ended and the other began. The seatbelt had tightened around my abdomen so hard that every breath felt like it might tear something inside me. That was when fear truly set in. I turned my head to the side. My wife wasn't moving, not breathing, not responding. Her eyes were closed. Her body was still, too still, in a way that felt wrong. Terribly wrong. I forced myself to look toward the back seat. The baby was completely still. In that instant, something inside me collapsed. There was no denial, no confusion. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just knew. And then I heard it. My older child was screaming. The sound cut through the silence like a knife, calling for me, begging for help. I tried to reach her. I tried to move my arms, my legs, anything. My body wouldn't respond. I was trapped, broken, helpless. I remember thinking, this is it. This is where I die, and I can't even save my child. That thought broke something inside me. And that's when something else happened, something I still struggle to explain. At first, I thought it was headlights, maybe another car approaching the wreck, but it wasn't coming from outside. It was coming toward me. A light moved through the twisted metal, through the shattered glass, through everything that should have blocked it. It was soft, warm, calm. As it reached me, something incredible happened. The pain stopped, completely, and that's when I realized I was no longer inside my body. I was above it. I could see myself trapped in the wreckage. I could see blood on my face. I could see my chest barely rising. I could see my son in the back seat screaming for me. Everything looked distant, clear, peaceful. Time felt different, slower, expanded. I felt myself being gently pulled upward, away from the car, away from the chaos. There was no fear, no resistance, just a calm I had never known before. I didn't understand it yet, but everything had already changed. And then I saw her. My wife was standing in front of me. She looked exactly like herself, but free of pain, free of injury. Her presence was comforting in a way I can't fully explain. She looked at me with absolute clarity and spoke with certainty. "You can't die," she said. "You have to take care of our son. He cannot be an orphan." There was no emotion in her voice, no sadness, just truth. I wanted to speak. I wanted to tell her I loved her. I wanted to apologize. But before I could say a word, I felt a powerful force pushing me back. Suddenly, the weight returned. The pain returned. Sirens filled the air. Hands pulled me from the wreck. Voices shouted commands. Someone pressed oxygen against my face. I was rushed into an ambulance as everything blurred in and out. But this wasn't the end, not even close. At the hospital, consciousness came and went like waves. But something else was happening. I could feel my wife's presence, not as a memory, not as imagination, as something real, strong, protective, watching. At one point, the doctor froze. He looked around the room and asked if anyone else had heard a voice. The nurse went pale. Later, she admitted she felt someone else there too, calm, steady, observing. My condition worsened rapidly. The doctors made a decision no one ever wants to hear. To save my life, they had to amputate one of my legs. As the anesthesia took over, the world faded again, and once more, I left my body. This time, I was standing, walking. I felt light, whole, complete. I looked down and saw both my legs, strong, normal, perfect. There was no pain, no injury. I was in a place of incredible beauty. The air itself felt alive. Ahead of me was a glowing corridor. At the end of it, there was a crib. Inside the crib lay my baby boy. The moment I saw him, guilt crushed me. Shame, anger, grief. I fell to my knees, overwhelmed by the feeling that I had failed. Then a being appeared, surrounded by a warm, intelligent light. It didn't speak, but I understood everything. I gently lifted my baby and handed him over. And in that moment, clarity filled me. This was not my fault. Some things exist beyond human control. He was safe and he was loved. When I woke up, I was back in the hospital, alive. I left that place with one leg, a broken heart, and a certainty I had never known before. I raised my son with love, with presence and gratitude. Today, I am blessed to witness my son's growth, feeling life quietly pulsing within us. I walk my path with purpose, knowing that my wife watches over us from another realm. After such a vivid experience, my fear of death has disappeared. I understood that life doesn't end the way we think it does. There is more beyond this life, much more. But I would only understand everything after that night.
Hi everyone. What an incredible story. It made me think, what is a life? Is it the body we inhabit or the love we leave behind? This story reminds us that we are all travelers on a quiet road, holding hands with those we love, believing we are in control. But control is an illusion. In a single heartbeat, the world can shatter, and the heavy silence of reality takes over. The car wreck is the ultimate analogy for human fragility, yet in that darkness, a light emerged. It didn't come from outside, it came for him. This experience proves that when the physical vessel breaks, the spirit doesn't fall, it rises. It finds clarity in chaos. The most hauntingly beautiful lesson lies in the silence of that hospital room. When the doctors froze and the nurse turned pale, they weren't just feeling a memory, they were witnessing a bridge between two worlds. Even after death, love remains as a duty, a voice that commands us to keep going. We often fear the end, but perhaps death is simply the moment we become whole again. We may walk the rest of our path with scars, with one less limb or a heavy heart, but we never walk alone. The light we encountered after that night is the same light that guides us home, because in the end, love is the only thing that gravity cannot hold down. If this story touched you in any way, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next accounts. And tell me in the comments, do you believe that love can truly cross the boundary between two worlds? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you for watching.